Today I'm going to show you how to turn a test tube into two different plant propagation stations that I think will make the perfect Christmas or housewarming gifts for those plant lovers in your life. Before I get started, I wanted to share that I partnered with Akara to bring you this video. Akara makes really affordable and easy to use smart home products. I'll be talking more about their smart home starter kit in a bit, but for right now, let's get back to the project. For both propagation stations, you'll want to get test tubes that have a flat bottom and that are at least 25 millimeters in diameter. For the first propagation station, I started off by cutting 1x2 wood scraps that I had on hand. The side pieces are 3 1/4 inch thick and 3 inches long, and the top and bottom pieces are 3 1/4 inch long and 3/8 of an inch thick. Of course, using a miter saw to cut them would have given me cleaner 90-degree cuts, but I still find that with a little practice, a handsaw can do a pretty good job too. Now the first thing to do is to mark the center of the thin pieces, which will be the top and the bottom. Another thing I like to do is to mark the center where I want to drill with a nail, and I'll show you in a little bit why that's important. Next, you want to clamp one of the thin pieces to your work surface. I prefer to use C-clamps for this, but you could use whatever clamps you have on hand. And next, to make our holes for the test tube, I'm using this Forstner drill bit. It's slightly bigger diameter than the test tubes, which is what you want. And you remember that divot that I did with the nail? It's going to allow me to line up the tip of the drill right exactly where I want it, because now it has a little place to catch on to. And that's it. And then you're ready to drill your hole. Oh, but before you do that, you definitely want to put your safety glasses on. Whenever you're drilling, especially wood like this that can get into your eyes, you want to wear some safety glasses. You want to make sure you go all the way through, and this is why you want to protect your work surface with a scrap piece of wood. Otherwise, you're going to be making a hole in your table. And then the moment of truth, you have a nice circle, and it's perfect for the test tube. Love it. This is the most fun part of the project. Now next, we need to drill again in this other piece, but we're not going to drill all the way through. It's really the same process as the other one, except that this time I'm only going to drill part way. Again, I forgot my safety glasses. Bad habits. Just a little bit. Just enough for the test tube to catch. For the next part, I thought it would be fun to experiment with using iron-on wood edging to secure all the pieces together. And I'm going to show you how I did that. I measured and cut 2 strips of edging to be 3 3/4 of an inch long. Because this is iron-on wood edging, it has glue on the back side of it. Now I had already cut my other piece, so I can just get started. So essentially, you take the piece of wood edging that you just cut and you line it up to one edge of your thicker wood pieces. And you line it up so that there's enough room for your thinner pieces on either side. So once you know that you've got it lined up properly, you just take your iron and you heat up the edging. I have my iron on the cotton setting, I believe. You just want to make sure it's not too hot because you don't want to burn the wood. Typically, wood edging is 3/4 of an inch wide, but this roll is actually 2 inches wide. And what's really nice about this material is that it's super easy to reposition if you need to. You just need to heat up the glue again, and then you can move it around. It's a bit hot, so you want to use a piece of wood to kind of make sure that the glue adheres really well to the piece of wood. Then I can just take the iron and then heat up the glue on the sides again. It's almost as fun as watching paint dry. And then you take your pieces and then you just put them in place. Like that. Just like that, these two are attached together. You repeat the same process with the other piece of wood. When you don't have woodworking tools, sometimes you have to think of a different way of doing things. So definitely not a traditional woodworker's way of building a little box like this, but I think it's kind of fun that you get to be able to do something like this even though you're using just basic tools like a drill and an iron. You want to make sure that everything is glued really well together. Just like that. And obviously, when you're building something by hand, you know, it's not going to be perfect, but I think that it adds character, and at the end of the day, it's all the love that goes into making it that's important. So once you have all the edges cleaned off, I like to then take some sandpaper to smooth everything out. And this is another tip for you that I think works really well, and it's to staple a piece of sandpaper to a piece of wood like this. And that way it holds it in place and you can more easily, at least I find, smooth everything out. Now it is essentially done, and I could have stopped here, but I did want to reinforce the top a bit more, so I thought it would be fun to use some wood dowels. Now typically when you're dealing with dowels, it's really much easier if you have a drill press, something that allows you to drill perfectly at 90 degrees. But when you're working with a hand drill, it's not so easy to do. So this is where this jig comes in really handy. It allows you to position your holes exactly and have your drill be angled perfectly at 90 degrees. So that's what I'm going to use. You'll see it's kind of a neat trick. You want to position it so that the center here is with the center of the board. You want to clamp this because this is going to have a tendency to want to move around. I'm using a jig for dowels that are 3/8 of an inch in diameter because that's what I had on hand, but with a bigger hole there's more chances that the wood might split. So I would actually recommend using 1/4 inch dowels instead. Before putting in the dowels, I do like to add a little bit of glue and then spreading it around to the sides with a toothpick. You don't want to put too much glue because it's just going to spill out and make a mess. Before putting in the dowels, I did sand down one end so that they would sit flush with the top. And then you just sand the top. It's ready for the test tube, just like this. So cute, so cute. Now this is just for one, but I made one earlier with 3, which I think is really cute as well. Now you can put a little picture frame hanger here to hang it, or you can just have it sit like this on a desk. Before I dive into the next project, let's talk about the Aqara Smart Home Starter Kit. It's the perfect way to get started with home automation because it's really affordable and super easy to set up. You download the Aqara app on your phone, and then all you have to do is plug in the hub, scan the setup code, and everything, all the components are ready to automate.
Connecting. Please wait.
I started with a door window switch because I really wanted to have a way to know if my landlord was being nosy and coming into my apartment when I'm not home. Everything is compatible with Apple HomeKit or the Apple Home app, so I was able to set everything up on my iPhone really easily. I love that you don't need any screws or wires to install the sensors, and within just minutes I was able to have this alarm. There's so much more that you can automate with this system, with the smart plug, the motion sensor that's also a light sensor, and the mini switch. So I can't wait to experiment even more with automating my home with Akara. I'll put a link in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. The next propagation station is actually pretty easy to make and doesn't require any power tools. Plus, I scavenged all the materials to make it from things that I already had. The process for making this one is fairly simple, so I'm just going to let the video speak for itself. This was really a fun craft project that I hope you also enjoy watching and hopefully making yourself. I love how this one turned out too. It's so cute. I think these would make great Christmas or housewarming gifts. And I also think it's great to be able to give something that you made yourself and put a lot of love into. In case you're planning on making these, I'll put links in the description below to more details on these projects, including where I got the test tubes that I used. And again, a big thank you to Akara for making this video possible. If you're wondering what I'm up to day to day, do connect with me on Instagram. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.